Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you came to join us today for another episode of Morning Moments. I have all the way from the West Coast, Barb Lorenz, and she is with Grand Monday Nights, and she'll explain this to you. Barb, welcome to Morning Moments.
Thank you, Andy. So great that you asked me to join you this morning.
Tell me, what do you do and why do you do it?
I'm so glad you asked. I want to share with you what I have been doing and why for the last almost 2 years. I'm married, live in the San Diego area. We have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. And I have a history of business throughout my life. But about 2 years ago, I had moved into what I called a happily managing that part of my life and was looking for a ministry in an area that God would direct me. So I was introduced to an organization called the Legacy Coalition through an organization I belong to called the Barnabas Group. And I was intrigued by the Legacy Coalition and what they stand for. Their goal is to reach grandparents with the message of being intentional with their grandchildren. And that really drew me. I think we were good grandparents. We loved our 10 grandkids. We prayed for our 10 grandkids. But little did I know, Andy, what I had to learn about being intentional really has changed my life. So back then I picked up a book by an author named Josh Mulvihill. And he was really the first gentleman in the country who wrote about Christian grandparenting. My husband and I started reading the book. And as we got into it, I said, Gary, I think this is it. I am really feeling drawn toward getting involved with the Legacy Coalition and sharing the message of becoming intentional Christian grandparents. And importantly, each of us, the two of us, growing in our role to be able to help our grandchildren come and walk and trust and show Jesus 7 days a week. So I contacted Legacy Coalition, got in touch. Larry Fowler, who is the founder, came down to our house here in La Mesa, and he gave a presentation and kind of got us started with a 6-week course called Grandparenting Matters. And oh my gosh, Andy, from the beginning, I was awakened. I said, this is where God would have me. And Gary, my husband, very supportive. So I became what's called an ambassador in the San Diego County area, talking with churches who might like to start a ministry, who wanted to know more. And I did that for about 4 months. But at the time, COVID had slammed us shut. So there wasn't as much that I could do as I would like to. So after about 4 months in spring of 2020, I decided to do a weekly Zoom. I started out with one on long distance grandparenting. I did it. There was a huge result of people who wanted to come in. So Larry Fowler called me and said, Barb, would you produce a weekly webcast called Grand Monday Nights every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific for 1 hour, and you can find the speakers, you can talk to them, you can interview them, and we are going to help our grandparents learn more about being intentional. So that's why I did it. That's what I'm doing, Andy, and that's why I did it, because I felt God really calling me to reach out and share this message. Do you know there are 30 million Christian grandparents in this country? Our goal at Legacy Coalition is to reach them all in 10 years. Whoa, we have got a huge job for us. And my role as a producer and host of Grand Monday Nights is to just continue to bring speakers in who talk about things and topics that help us grow as grandparents. So that's what I've been doing. We just finished our 65th Grand Monday Night. You can join us. You go grandmondaynights.com, not www, just grandmondaynights.com, enter your name and email, and you can register. As of yesterday, we have 6,800 people who've registered, and we've had people from 22 countries join us. But I feel like we're just getting started. So, some of the topics are how to talk to your grandkids if they don't want to talk to you, how to talk to them about the worldview, how to help with teenagers. What about little kids? What about if there are parents who really aren't supportive? Maybe they want some obstacles that come. So there's so many different topics we cover, and each one has been extremely helpful in us growing in our grandparenting and others. So that's what I'm doing. I'm continuing to reach out, find speakers across the country who will join us. This next Monday night, February 14th, we have one of your prior couples who came, Steve and Annie Chapman. They're going to be on Monday on our Valentine special with the topic, I like you and I love you too. No, I love you and I like you too. And they're going to be singing some songs. And so we've had speakers such as John Stonestreet, president of the Colson Center. We've had Valerie Bell, who's CEO of Awana. We've had speakers like that who can speak into a certain area of intentional Christian grandparenting. And wow, Andy, have we grown? Sometimes I think, well, we've learned a lot, what is there to learn? Every week we learn something else. Last night we had Kevin Harper, who was one of the original grandparents. He started a grandparenting ministry about 20 years ago. He's from Colorado Springs. He talked about grandparenting outside of your biological family. Great subject, gave us great ideas. So anyway, those are just some examples. And I really appreciate you letting me share what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And so anything that you want me to add?
Yeah, let me ask you, I noticed that you mentioned all of these on a Monday night, but they're all recorded. So if it's gone past, even some of those that you're mentioning, some of you are going, I would love to hear that. They could go on your site and listen to the ones after the recording too.
Yeah. So if you register, grandmoneynights.com and register, you'll get an email each week with the next 4 topics that are coming up. And you will then get an email that's got our current one, the one we had last night, that stays up for a week. So many people who listen during the week. In addition, when you go to legacycoalition.com, you can look under Grand Money Nights and look at past episodes, Andy. And we've got so far, I think about 40 past episodes so far that have been edited. You can go in there, you can choose the topics you want, you can listen to it. And many grandparents are starting to invite a group over, have dinner together, watch one of the episodes, talk about it. So we are reaching out to expand the friendship that can occur and the communication and the encouragement, that can occur between grandparents.
The role of a grandparent for children is so much different than the parents. And
oh, you bet.
And we could say things to our grandparents. We don't have to lay the law down. We could. I always say the best thing for grandparents, I think, is whistle suckers. You could give them sugar and a whistle at the same time and send them home. And I know we grandparents get accused of that a lot, but that's all right. We could do that. We're grandparents. But our role is so much different. And I often think when I see my grandkids, I want to share stories with them of faith and stories. Let me tell you how grandpa got saved. Let me tell you how grandpa and grandma, when we had to trust God and God supplied our needs according to his riches and glory. And I want to pass that. And I love that, the statement, legacy. I want to pass that legacy of faith on to the next generation. And I think that's really needed today, that they have a role models to look at.
The Bible teaches that we are to carry our faith on to our children, their children, and the children after them. So you mentioned, which is often the cultural view of grandparenting, which is, most people in Christian organization think. You bring them over, you treat them, and you send them home. But our role, our goal, our view at Legacy Coalition is we are in the most important years of our life to be stronger Christians, to be stronger influences, to spend more time in thinking about our grandchildren and the children after them, so that they can get our message. What does it look like to live the Christian life? That we can show them that. But you're right, those stories are great. We have many of those that we hear, and you touched on some important topics, Sandy, things we cover. Again, it's a whole world, but I'm just thrilled. I'm learning every week, and we just want to continue this goal of reaching these 30 million Christian grandparents, because what happens a lot of times when they begin to see these principles, they're awakened and they go, oh, I never even thought about that. Like, for one last thing, for example, is when Larry Fowler started Legacy Coalition 5 years ago, he could only find one church in the entire United States that had a grandparenting ministry, and only about 4 or 5 books available on the subject of Christian grandparenting. It was incredible. We hadn't thought of it. There was women's ministries, children's ministries, men's ministries, couples ministries, but no grandparenting ministries. So that's all changing. We now have hundreds of churches across the United States who are beginning grandparenting ministries. But again, we are just getting started.
Barb, I want to thank you so much for opening our eyes to this. Down below in the comment sections, either through Facebook or YouTube or however you're getting this interview, we're going to put the links so you could get a hold of their ministry, register, be part of their group, so that you could listen, and to not only listen to their grand Monday nights, but be involved and pass it on to others as well.
I sure hope so. So it's so easy to register. And once you register at grandmondaynights.com, you'll also be registered for the Legacy Coalition, which includes other things. But we don't ever pass on people's emails to anyone, so you can be comfortable in that. But join us. Join us. You can always unsubscribe if you say, this just isn't for me. But help us spread the word. We've got a big job to do, and I'm hoping we can all jump in and be part of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to Morning Moments. Pass this message on, pass this on to others that may need to hear it as well. And thank you, Barb. And I want people to continue to be praying for your ministry, that God would continue to bless it.
I can't thank you enough, so I really appreciate it. God's blessing on you, and we'll continue to connect with opportunities we have to bring people on to share their faith.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for coming to Morning Moments, and keep coming back.